Professor Scott Galloway, Professor G, he's a New York University professor. He is an author of many books. I want to talk about one of his books called The Algebra of Happiness. The first thing that Scott Galloway says in his book is the tension between talents and passion. He says that everyone who says follow your passion is already rich. So they got rich selling screws or nails and things that no one is passionate about, and then they get on the stage, they come on a yacht, and they say follow your passions. They say follow your passions because they're already rich. Maybe you're 20, you're 22, 23, 25, out of college, and you think, I'm gonna dedicate 20 years of my life so I can get wealth, I can build stuff, and then when I'm 50, I'm gonna enjoy. But what if you don't get to 50? What if you unfortunately have to stop working at 30? You haven't built anything and you haven't enjoyed the last decade. I don't like that idea. I don't like that alternative. Now, there is value in what Galloway said about focusing on your talents. When we study the Ikigai, for example, which is the foundation of what I do, helping people find their purpose, you understand that there is an element of doing what you're good at. The whole Ikigai purpose is combining what you're good at, what you love doing, what the world needs, and what pays well. So there is an element of focusing on your talent and not just passion. Now, the second point, Stoicism. Back in the times of Jesus, he had many enemies, many ideological enemies. He had the Stoics, he had the Hedonists, he had all of these philosophies going around. And the idea of just doing good to your body, all of those things were playing up. The Stoics actually believed something that aligns very close with Christianity. You should only worry about the things that you can't control. You read the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, for example, you will see him you'll see him writing and wrestling with this idea quite often. Only worry about what you can't control. Here's the deal. You can't control the weather. Why would you worry if it's gonna rain? You can't control the traffic. Why would you worry with accidents and all of those things? You just get in your car and you drive. Now, you're worried about what you can't control. You're worried about how you drive, but you will be overwhelmed with anxiety if you try to control what's out of your control. Now, I have an exercise for you. Here's value for you. Here's an exercise. If you don't like journaling, this is going to be a challenge for you, but I would highly recommend you get a journal and do this for 30 days, just 30 days. Write down at the beginning of the day your worries. For Christian people, this is like a prayer journal. You write down your prayers, and then when you finish writing, maybe a page, just a simple page. When you finish writing, the exercise is highlight or circle what are the things that are under your control, what you can control, what you can influence. And you just circle that, highlight them. When you look at the page, you'll realize that 90% of the things you wrote are out of your control. So you focus on the 10% of things. You just spend and disperse your energy and your mental efforts into the things that you can't control. Your life will be much better and you will have less anxiety. Point number 3, I want you to understand the power of compound interest over time. And I'm not only talking about money. Galloway says the same thing. It's not just about money. Compound interest is a very powerful force over time in any area of your life. If you're 20 years old, every payment you have, here's an advice for you. Every payment you get, salary, investment, whatever comes into your account, just take 5% of that, just 5%, and put it in an investment that will compound over time. And obviously over the course of 3 or 4 years, you can diversify that, which is the fourth point. You don't have to find one investment that works for you because that's risky, but choose an index that is an average of, the S&P 500 or S&P 100. Now, the trick is this. The earlier you start, the lighter it is for you. If you're 20, you can save a little bit of your income so you can get in a good place later on. Now, we don't know if you're going to get to that place later on, but the reality is 20 years will go by, whether you like it or not, whether you live or not, whether you enjoy or not, 20 years will go by. So if you happen to get there, you will be prepared. Now, if you're 40 and you're watching this, you might have to invest a little bit more of your money so you can get to that point. That's just the beauty of compound interest. But there's still hope. It's never too late to start. You want to start as early as you can, and you want to put aside as much as you can. You don't have to live a miserable life, but you need to invest. Discipline is good. You need discipline in your life. And the fourth point is diversification. I want to talk to you about diversification from 2 angles. One, the obvious one, we were just talking about it, finances. You can invest in indexes, you can buy real estate, you can even buy crypto if you want to. Like, again, I'm not a financial advisor. It's not in my position to give you any financial advice, but diversifying is good because if the market goes down in one area, you have another area that will sort of overcompensate it. It's the whole idea of keeping your eggs in different baskets, right? That's safe. Mitigating your loss is a better strategy than amplifying your gain. You can amplify your gain, you can go double or nothing, you can bet on it, you can gamble, and if you're lucky, you might get some. But if you're 95% of people, you will probably lose your money. But when you mitigate your loss, you play in a safe game, and the safe game pays off over the course of time. Now, the other angle I want to talk to you about diversification is about your skills, your skill sets. Because the reality is, not everyone is in a position to invest money. Not everyone is in a position to create investments, to create wealth. Everyone is in a position to invest in themselves. The best investment you're going to make is in yourself. Build your skills. In my case, for example, I'll share my personal testimony. Speaking is one of the gifting areas that I have. Like I've been speaking for God knows, but I had to diversify. So in this specific area, just right here, I had to learn how to edit videos. I had to learn how to build sets. Now I have a genius behind the camera that worked with me now, and then things got easier, but at least I kind of know where I'm going. So you would rather be a good generalist than a mediocre specialist. There is room for both. There is room for the super specialist out there, but the super specialist is 1 in a million. But if you're a good, rounded generalist, you'll do well. There are more room for Scottie Pippens in a league of basketball players than for Michael Jordans. Although we could argue that Michael Jordan is the most complete player of all times, but that's a conversation for another day. But a good generalist will do well. Don't be a specialist when you're 20. You can become a specialist when you're older. And if you watch this video over here on the card, I talk about the seasons of life. You know, in your 20s, you try everything. In your 30s, you kind of figure out what you're good at. In your 40s, you become a specialist, which is what's happening to me right now. In your 50s, you get the rewards, and in your 60s, you teach other people. I really hope that you get these 4 advices and you put this to practice, because when you do, I understand you might not like everything that Scott Galloway says, or you might not even like everything that I say, but you can't argue that minding about the things that you can't control, worrying about the things that you can't control is a good advice. You can't argue against the power of compound interest. You can't argue against the alternative of not living a life on purpose. It's pretty boring. It's bad. So I want to help you live their life on purpose. By the way, this is what we do. I have a plethora of things that you can look at. You can go on my website. There is a link in the description if you want to. And when you go there, guess what? Everything there is free. You can just use everything there. I'm not trying to sell anything to anyone, but I do want you to see this. This is a good thing for you. There's a lot of good things out on the internet. We've just done the job for you. We summarized everything, and it's a beautiful collection of things that you can use to take advantage of, to live a life on purpose. I believe that in order for you to live a happier life, a fulfilled life, you need to live on purpose. That's what I do. I live every day, try to do the same, try to reach people and teach them about purpose. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you want more about this, the next one suggested is also a good video, or you can just go on our website and enjoy yourself. The light in the things that we have. God bless.